Good morning. Welcome to the first meeting of 2026 on this wintry January morning. Glad to see everybody that was able to make it. We may have a couple absentees because of the weather, but we'll move on. And welcome our new treasurer, Karen Bettridge, this morning, sitting in the seat to your right.
It's exactly where the directions.
Councillor Dennis, could you mute your mic, please? There's background noise, sorry.
Oh. We're process. It's so much bigger that is to get to this way.
I'd ask any member of committee to declare pecuniary interest now or where it rises during the meeting. And item number 3, appointments. I'm going to turn to Mr. Beauchamp, please.
Thank you, Warden Marriott. We're at item 3A, nominations, committee of the whole, and we're looking for a motion to nominate a chair to the committee. Councillor Ferguson. Todd Case seconds. All in favor? That passes. I'll pass it back to you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Beauchamp. Turn to item B, Audit Committee appointments. We need, oh, I'm sorry. Yes, Vice Chair. Councillor Case, please. Okay, do I have a seconder? Councillor Ferguson. Any other nominations? All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Item B, Audit Committee, looking for 4 members. Last year we had Councillor Cook, Councillor Ferguson, Councillor Miller, and Councillor Loosely. How do you want to handle this? Councillor Broad, please.
I'd like to nominate those 4.
Okay, do I have a seconder? Councillor Sageman, all in favor? That's carried. And C, County of Lambton Agricultural Advisory Committee, last year was Councillor Atkinson. Councillor Case.
I'll move that Councillor Atkinson continues on with that committee.
Okay, Deputy Warden Agar seconds, all in favor? That's carried. And County of Lambton Accessibility Advisory Committee, we had Councillor Cook sitting last year. Councillor Bean. Okay, seconded by Councillor Loosely, all in favor? That's carried. And last but not least, the Woodlands Hearing Board, last year represented was Councillor Ferguson. Councillor Broad. Okay, seconded by Councillor Loosely, all in favor? That's carried, thank you. Item number 4, presentations. The first one is Mr. Matthew Slotwinski, Chief Executive Officer, and Adrienne Lee, Board Chair, Sarnia-Lambton Economic Partnership. We'll be speaking to County Council and providing an update regarding SLEP's activities and plans. Welcome, Matthew and Adrienne.
Of course, we take great pride in our mission to service all 11 municipalities to advance economic growth and opportunity through leadership, partnership, collaboration, and strategic direction. That strategic direction as an organization is, of course, based around these 7 core elements. As I'll speak to these throughout the presentation, we won't dwell on this slide here. In addition to the core operational funding that's graciously provided by the county, SLEP leverages significant external funding and grants to escalate our service delivery. In 2025, we received more than $400,000 in external funding to support key projects and more than $655,000 in long-term funding commitments for projects that will continue through 2026 and beyond. Our success is ultimately on delivering Our success on delivering economic opportunity depends on working with a partner ecosystem of like-minded stakeholders. And this year, what I'd like to point out on this particular slide is the newly created partnership for 2025 that was the Sarnia-Lambton Data Consortium in partnership with the Sarnia-Lambton Workforce Development Board, as well as the City of Sarnia. Related to our branding and marketing, last year we launched the new SLEP website and associated Business Enterprise Center microsite. Last year, we had two key focuses. One, ensuring awareness on ongoing and upcoming activities and consistent engagement within the community. And two, bringing national and international visibility to Sarnia-Lambton and its core industrial sectors, highlighted by target marketing campaigns across key site selection, real estate, and industry-specific publications, including Site Selection Magazine, Biofuels Digest, and the National Post. Looking forward, we'll enhance our digital footprint through new AI website features, the launch of programmatic marketing campaigns targeting key industrial sectors and geographies, including a focus on marketing to the domestic opportunity, and introducing new digital industrial lead generation and support tools. Last year, we advocated on key issues such as carbon tax reallocation, transportation, and Enbridge's Line 5 that impact local business retention and expansion. Other focuses, such as investment land readiness and natural gas and water infrastructure, impact industrial attraction and even the potential for residential growth. Also, items such as carbon sequestration were able to reach some level of positive conclusion for opportunity locally. A major focus was also the advocacy towards the impacts of tariffs and international trade, where we are heavily engaged with businesses, municipalities, and the provincial and federal governments, as well as key stakeholders across the US and Europe. This year, advocacy will center on similar concepts to 2025, where again, international trade will remain a critical focus, especially with CUSMA in mind. And additional efforts will be linked to the attraction of new energy production and focuses on energy security, including the East-West Energy Corridor. Lastly, we'll be seeking to undertake targeted activities in coordination with municipalities associated with accessing infrastructure funding. Our workforce efforts are creating strong positive results. Last year, we supported the delivery of the Regional Economic Development through Immigration Pilot, through which we were successful in achieving the target of 200 local nominations through the Ontario Immigrant Nominee Program to support hiring hard-to-fill roles, leading to permanent residency for applicants and ultimately jobs filled. This was a truly impactful win for the community. We also launched the Newcomer Hub, which is a 3-year IRCC-funded program to support 120 skilled workers to develop employment networks, entrepreneurship, and mentorship. And in addition to launching youth programs like the Skill Up program, we opened up existing tools such as the Career Accelerator and Explore Talent portals to ensure that they're supporting all of Lambton County's residents and not just newcomers. In 2026, we will continue on youth retention and skills development, highlighted by the Skill Up Safety Training Partnership with BASIS, and the proposed Talent Connect Lab, which would support up to 300 youth through skills development and connections to employers. The Sarnia-Lambton Newcomer Hub intends on hosting 12 employment events supporting 170 newcomers, while we've also partnered with Lambton College to host local industrial bus tours to promote job opportunities across Lambton County. Lastly, campaigns are in development to attract more people to Sarnia-Lambton in the form of workers, entrepreneurs, and ultimately residents to our region. The key industrial sectors that we focused on as it relates to investment attraction continue to be the established chemicals and energy, sustainable chemistry, agricultural and manufacturing sectors, which provide a foundation for potential growth, while our pursuit of emerging industrial sectors such as net zero technologies and hydrogen seek to drive diversification. Notably though, the impacts of international politics have had impacts on our strategic sectors, including a drastic reduction in opportunities linked to the EV and battery supply chain. At this time, we're now pursuing the development of a targeted investment attraction strategy associated with the defense sector, given the national focus to drive new investment in both the short and the long term. Currently, SLEP EDOs are actively working with 33 clients that are actively considering Sarnia-Lambton for defined projects in the future. Collectively, these represent up to $3 billion in potential investment, including 10 projects that would be greater than $50 million in total investment size. Last year, we did have 10 companies conduct site visits in the community, representing the potential for north of 400 jobs, as well as north of $1 billion in investment. Now, interesting to note, contrary to recent years, most of these companies are looking at market-ready brownfield sites. In an effort to showcase local land and investment opportunities, last year we hosted a successful industrial familiarization tour, bringing industrial realtors and developers to Sarnia-Lambton. New opportunity continues to be linked to our integrated energy and chemistry cluster in both historic and emerging sectors, with a notable shift back towards the industrial bioeconomy, linking commercializing companies to the significant interest in energy production. We did see a considerable increase in total manufacturing opportunities stemming from our targeted foreign direct investment projects and participation in the Ontario Manufacturing Communities Alliance. This helped to drive additional opportunity that could leverage light industrial lands, while recognizing most potential that did come forward was ultimately associated with heavy industrial land opportunities. 2025 did see new investment into Sarnia-Lambton, and SLEP was glad to play either a lead or a support role for companies such as Clover IQ, Greenfield Global, Kinnell, the Stewart Group, and others that you'd see on the screen. And looking to 2026, we look to continue our active support of several active projects considering the community, including OPG and their feasibility assessment of potential nuclear, hydrogen, and natural gas developments, energy production projects, both either new or expanding, seeking approval for development in St. Clair Township, and large-scale hydrogen production projects, considering investment in both Sarnia and St. Clair. With investments across Canada slowed due to international trade, it really is critical critical both now as it's ever been, to drive visibility to the Sarnia-Lambton area to fill our investment prospect pipeline. At the same time, it's important to be laser focused on the priority target markets associated with our strategic industries. And so for 2026, this means an increase in focus on attraction opportunities from within Canada, while shifting some of our international focus away from the United States and into the European and Asian markets. Additionally, we are hopeful that a proposed partner project associated with regional supply chain mapping and related attraction will receive approval to progress. Just as local partners are key, we do continue to rely on close collaboration with provincial, federal, and international government and industry partners. Now noted earlier on the screen, there is significant potential for expansion of existing businesses in Lambton County. A success story this year that SLEP was able to support was VIP Rail's $30 million investment in an increased railcar storage operation, which saw an increase of capacity of 750 railcars, resulting in new full-time employment, associated construction jobs, and the ability of that company to better support local chemical operations and their linked growth plans. To support businesses of all sizes, we have continued our business retention expansion outreach program to businesses to identify challenges and opportunities and to help pursue or alleviate. We also completed programming across Lambton County to support local businesses' growth, including continued linkages to the Sarnia-Lambton Industrial Alliance, the creation of tariff and trade-related supports, and hosting of funding-related programming. Last year, our organization supported 16 funding applications from municipalities and businesses, but a key goal for 2026 is increasing promotion and support assistance of incentive programs to escalate local access and participation. This is enhanced by the delivery of a new business grant program we're anticipating that should be announced in coming weeks. Additionally, this year we will have a heavy focus on supporting business succession through standalone programming, as well as aligned efforts to maximize Succession Ontario and Community Futures Lambton partner resources. Lastly, we will be seeking to enhance our connection to the agricultural operations across the community by hosting additional events in rural communities. In 2025, with the Research Park in Lambton College, we launched the Innovation Bridge Commercialization Hub to market innovation attraction. Additionally, we initiated development of an investment land readiness report focused on defining why certain industrial prospects haven't chosen to pursue Lambton County. This is important because we continue to stress the need for industrial land that is suitable for industrial development and that's truly investment ready. But as a market update, it is positive news that Lambton Shores and Sarnia are taking positive steps to advance on investment readiness projects for their municipally owned business parks. And SLEP's been glad to be able to be an active supporter of these projects. Alongside this, we are seeing speculative development for large-scale industrial buildings, such as a potential multi-building development in St. Clair Township. This is all positive for driving economic competitiveness and innovation investment to Lambton County. So in 2026, ultimately, our market readiness efforts will continue as they have. Lastly, our entrepreneurship efforts related to the Small Business Enterprise Center, I believe, are really noteworthy. The BEC successfully supported the start of 36 new businesses through both its core clients, as well as the Summer Company Program and the Starter Company Plus program. In achieving this, the BEC provided almost 400 business advisory consultations and delivered 65 courses, webinars, and learning events across the community. As we look to 2026, the BEC will continue to deliver on its key programs, including the Starter Company Plus program, that Summer Company program, as well as the Foodpreneur Advantage programs, and while at the same time promoting that leveraging of succession planning resources to ensure stability and continued success across the Sarnia-Lambton's local businesses. I'll close off there. I'm certainly happy to answer any questions that there may be.
Thank you, Matthew. Is there any questions from the committee? Councillor Hand, please.
Some of us just returned from Roma last night. Rural Ontario Municipal Conference. And one of the things that came up several times in sessions I was at was work permits and how it's impacting in the medical field, PSWs and the immigration program that they were using to staff. Do you have any involvement with that?
And do you mean specifically associated with bringing in, let's say, international talent in the utilization?
Yeah, well, now they're
permits?
shortening their period on their work permits, and it's causing issues for some people. And it's the government changed the length of time.
Right. I would need to follow up
Okay.
on our specific involvement through our EDOs, specifically involved in workforce attraction and related retention. That noted, I would like to suggest where there are the needs to fill certain positions and healthcare in mind, we do have very strong connections into the federal government associated with some of their workforce permitting projects and the associated streams to see individuals work through those avenues.
Thank you.
Councillor Dennis. Turn your mic on, please, Councillor Dennis.
There we go. That's better. Thank you. Matthew, does your office participate in the temporary foreign worker program?
So our office would provide assistance into such a program.
Okay.
Where ultimately we would form the proper connections to the resources.
Okay. I'm sure you're well aware of, there's been a lot of outrage with that particular program. A lot of fraud is taking place. A lot of abuse of that program is taking place. There's throughout the province, the country, and even here locally. There was a Tim Hortons in Grand Bend that the new owner fired the entire workforce. In Sarnia, it's come to my attention. People tend to come to me because they know that I will bring these issues to the forefront. It's being abused. It's being greatly abused when entire workforces are being fired and people are are being forced to quit by having their hours cut substantially, and temporary foreign workers are hired. They're working a lot longer than what they're allocated for. As you know, the government subsidizes their wages substantially. That's not the program. What's taking place is not what the program was designed to do. It's certainly putting natural-born residents at a huge disadvantage. And I don't need to remind you, these are typically in the service industry jobs like fast food and such. The youth unemployment rate, not just in Sarnia, but all over the place, is extremely, extremely high. That is dirty pool. And that is just absolute disgrace what's taking place, and that has to be stopped. And also, you had mentioned that filling jobs locally here with, you talked about newcomers and such. Again, our unemployment rate in this area, Southern Ontario, we are very, very high here, and there's a lot of skilled trades unemployed right now. So I don't know what type of hard-to-fill jobs that you are filling with out-of-town residents or new Canadians, but it's been in the paper before. It's been brought to people's attentions, and they take issue with that.
You have a question, Councillor Dennis?
Yeah, my question is I don't know if you're more interested in bringing new people to this area to fill jobs that can be filled by local residents. We got to think Sarnia-Lambton first, and that's my question. We got to think Sarnia-Lambton first. The people that pay our wages, the people that pay our taxes, not being woke or politically correct.
Mr. Slotwinski, do you have an answer for that, please?
Yeah, certainly happy, especially to focus on the successful READY project that did bring in, as noted, those 200 nominees to the OIMP program. In that particular case, where we were successful in having 200 nominees as allocated to the community, those particular nominations did have to be associated with positions that were proven to be hard to fill. And one of the reasons that I did suggest that that particular program was a success for the community was because many of the positions were already filled by individuals who were working on workplace visas, where it was known that there were not others capable of filling those particular roles. And ultimately, why I say it's a success is these individuals are now able to become permanent residents to Sarnia-Lambton and ultimately set up a long-term life here, while also meaning that the businesses that are utilizing the tool are able to continue on a successful pathway of workforce stability.
Are their wages subsidized, just like the temporary foreign workers? Are their wages subsidized also?
No, and thank you for that comment, because in fact, through this particular program, the businesses that were seeking to fill these roles had to prove that they were paying a premium above the average for that particular role.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine then. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from committee? Seeing none, thank you again, Mr. Slotwinski, for your presentation, and Adrienne.
Thank you.
4B, Mark Perrin, Executive Director, Tourism Sarnia-Lambton, TSL, will be speaking to County Council and providing an update regarding TSL's activities and plans.
Good morning, County Council. Thanks for having Tourism Sarnia-Lambton here this morning to give you an update on our 2026 plans and recap some of our 2025 successes and where things are at within the tourism industry. Tourism Sarnia-Lambton is proud to be the destination marketing organization serving Lambton County assets and always with our goal of enhancing the growth and prosperity within the region. For 2026, we've been working on a strategic plan now that has been going since 2023, finishing up this year. The strategic plan has 4 kind of main pillars that's been focused on, which is strong governance, marketing and product development, advocating on behalf of the tourism sector, and education on the economic benefits of tourism. With that, we have sector focuses that we've been working on throughout, basically working with our partners on how we ranked these and accordingly focused on these in order, working on entertainment events, arts and culture, blockbuster and signature events, our waterfront and beaches, our recreational tourism, food and drink, culinary tourism, convention and trade shows, and agriculture tourism. With this, we've also worked on workshops that are focused on social media, on email marketing, grant writing, Google Ads, and creating sales funnels for our partners. To give an overview of 2025, first want to compare 2024. 2024 was a significant increase in Sarnia-Lambton on overnight stays, mainly due to hosting the World Under-17 Hockey Challenge, bringing in almost a month long of international hockey players and families to the area. In 2024, it saw a 9.3 increase from the previous year. This year, it's been an interesting road in tourism, but we've been able to sustain that growth and really proud of how we've been able to accomplish that through our marketing. Going through November, we are sitting at a 1%, and we look to sustain that for December as a 1% increase, while our neighbor regions have definitely had decreases this year. You can see London with a minus 5.7% and Windsor mainly due to U.S. travel at 19.3% decrease from a previous year. In achieving these overnight accommodations, we've been really proud of our marketing strengths. We have focused in on these 3 main areas: the short distance interprovincial travelers, the long distance inter and interprovincial travelers, and the short drive United States travelers. We also work really closely with our partnership group in tourism. The SWATC team, the Southwestern Ontario tourism folks, we do ad campaigns with them along with Destination Ontario, and together we're seeing really great impressions and numbers from all the stats and marketing we're doing across the province. And just highlighting some of those stats, our September numbers, our 2025 numbers up till September show that we're on pace with previous year of 1.44 million people coming to Sarnia-Lambton. With that, the U.S. visitor trips are also in line up to our September stats with 78,620. The average night stays that we have per Canadians coming to our area is 1.9, and the average United States travel is 2.47 nights. We know the strengths that are in our area, and we definitely highlight them as we can. August has been our top Canadian month traveled for the last couple years, and then we know that from a U.S. standpoint that July continues to be one of the most sought after months for U.S. travel to our region. Within this, we also target in on our top 3 provinces and states as well as cities listed, so top 3 provinces of Ontario, Quebec, and Alberta. From a state side, the Michigan, Ohio, New York, Pennsylvania, and the top 5 cities that we see traffic coming from is Toronto, Brampton, Mississauga, Milton, and Vaughan. This all aligns with our GTA marketing strategy. Some of our advertising partnerships that we have are listed on here as follows: Globe and Mail, Toronto Star, National Post, Horizons, Cottage Life, Yes, the Outdoor and Life Network, Corus Radio and all their media outlets, Bravo, CHCH, Bell Media, Destination Ontario, Global Heroes. We have extensive social media that we've been doing and advertising on basically all the platforms reached, And we've been working with travel writers, blog posters, and outside source content creators from both Destination Ontario, as well as these different and various media channels to really capture the data, as well as share and distribute it out to reach our targeted audience. For major marketing initiatives, these 5 really stand out to us. The Horizons Travel and Lifestyle Partnership, our full-page advertisements with them, basically our digital targeting email subscribers. We also do downtown Toronto advertising across their video platforms, which include their main target of Yonge and Dundas. Second is our Global Heroes print advertising partnership. We work really close with them and are both the Toronto National Post, Globe and Mail, as well as Chicago, New York, and other US markets. With Global Heroes, our video partnerships, those reach a lot of the platforms that we listed that are TV related. And then we produce those 15 and 30-second commercials in-house. Also, our Canada travel and print digital partnerships. These are distributed across Canada, featuring our region and our assets across the Gardiner Expressway, billboards, digital magazines, and full-page advertisements. This year, more than ever in 2025, and as we plan in 2026, we've partnered strongly with Destination Ontario. With this, it's been both funding we've applied for and received, as well as funding that we've accessed through partnerships with Windsor, with London, and with Ontario Southwest Tourism to do a lot more marketing into targeted US instead of generalized US. With this, the impression rate from our campaigns was seen very successful at 167,000 impressions. Going into 2026, we have some new marketing materials that are being produced. We have a new travel guide that currently is in process and will be out in the April-May timeframe. With this, we print 65,000 copies and distribute them at travel centers, at hotels, to CTM Media Group, and the top attractions throughout both US and Canada. We also are in full development right now of a new website. Our new website will feature a lot of integration of new tools for planning itineraries, for showing features, for showing events, and just update the whole face list of both Tourism Sarnia-Lambton and Ontario's Blue Coast. We'll be going back to our banner of Tourism Sarnia-Lambton instead of using Ontario's Blue Coast as more of our marketing brand for the summertime, but sticking with Tourism Sarnia-Lambton as our home destination. One of the things we really look at in the travel trends market is what the predictions are for 2026. Tourism, to be on top of the game, we need to know what the predictions are, where people are going, what's new in the industry, and how we can use that to our advantage in Sarnia-Lambton. These are a few of the kind of top 10 things in the tourism industry that are new for 2026 that we are really working on integrating to our marketing strategies and how we can be seen as kind of a leader in these markets. So one of the big challenges of last year was the US and Canadian tourism, how we promoted, how we marketed, how we targeted. It was ever changing as we navigated through the landscape of what was happening between both Canada and US relations. With this, it's created a lot more opportunities for us, not only looking past the US into Europe and whatnot, but looking at how we can use the targeted strategies of other destinations in Ontario and throughout Canada and use them to our advantage through our marketing to have people visit waterfront and other relations within our own area in Sarnia-Lambton. We did see US travel come up in the later part of the year. We saw from July until our last data in November, seeing US travel back where it was previously and actually increase in the last 3 months. So US is definitely still a strong market, and it's having that welcoming incentive to our US counterparts to come visit and obviously help with our economic growth. Objectives we're building on in 2026 as well is amateur and local sport. We are definitely an amateur and local sport market in Sarnia-Lambton. It's one of our key strengths on bringing things in. Also, in tough economic times, amateur and local sport always seem to still thrive as tournaments and other things still are primary spenders for sport and travel. We are looking at more blockbuster events. We really saw the data from the World Under-17 event that we hosted in 2024, what that did in the month of November, and how that really was impactful, bringing millions of dollars in economic spending directly to our region. We have a renewed focus in arts and culture. With this, looking at things like art crawl, art walk, how we can be more of a part of the art scene and culture scene, and grow kind of our footprint within those. Also, wedding destinations are up. It's one of the new hot topics in tourism and travel, and we're looking to make Sarnia-Lambton a wedding destination, not only for locals, but for people to come here and have a great time on their wedding destination. Personal experiences and stories, that's the key on our social media targeting, on our marketing. Definitely that's bringing a lot of more the younger demographic, for sure, 30 and younger. They want to see what that experience is. They want to feel those stories and be part of them, and we're building into that. And then 6 is volunteer programming. To be successful at hosting tournaments, hosting conventions, and bringing people to our area, definitely volunteers are key. We're working to establish a program that can benefit and support all of the great things that happen throughout the county through the volunteer program. Just kind of touch on our upcoming initiatives. So obviously we stay close with our partners throughout the ministry, TIO, Ontario Southwest, FedDev, Ontario Creates. We are working with the team at FIFA, trying to bid and secure an event that would go with the FIFA World Cup at this time. Touch briefly on our gift card program. It's been an outstanding success for 2025 and leading into 2026. We're close to 140,000 in direct gift card sales that 100% support our local economy and local businesses in Lambton County. That program continues to be one that is sought after. We get calls on monthly by other tourism organizations on how we do it and what we do, and if we can provide the framework to other organizations to repeat. We also, from a standpoint of Sports Tourism Canada, trying to be really aggressive with bringing new things to the area. Conversations with curling, conversations with Silverstick, seeing how we can grow and adapt the footprint of sports tourism in Lambton County. Fully supporting the plowing match, helping them as they get ready for the 2027 event. Just want to touch on digital film and production as well. So digital film production, we're working right now to bring a major TV production to the area. Creates a lot of hotel overnight stays and cast, crew, everything coming in. So with features that would be seen nationally across Lambton County on that show. So overall, that's our presentation. We're looking forward to a great 2026 and a strong tourism sector to continue to build on. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you, Mark. I have a question from Councillor Atkinson first, and then Deputy Warden Agar.
Thank you, Warden. Through you to Mr. Perrin. First of all, thank you for the comprehensive and informative presentation. I do have a question, though. Last year, I believe, when you were here doing a presentation, one of my fellow councillors suggested that maybe it'd be worthwhile to reach out to each of the municipalities, come talk to the mayors, and see about what is going on within their municipalities and how that can be better promoted. Just wondered how that was going, because I didn't know if you were going alphabetically, but Plimpton, Wyoming hasn't had the opportunity to meet with you yet, sir. So if you could just give us an update on that, I would certainly appreciate it, Mark.
Yeah, absolutely. With that, so that is our plan for 2026. We kind of pushed it back a little bit. I've reached out to a few of the councillors on trying to connect and moving forward with it. But yeah, for 2026, I mean, please, if there's anything urgent, get a hold of us right away and we can have the conversation. But we definitely do want to meet with everyone, and phone and email is always open to work together.
Okay. Deputy Warden Agar, and then Councillor Dennis, and then Councillor Case.
Thank you, Warden. Mark, I just wanted to say that tourism, Sarnia-Lambton, you have a big outburst with the sporting world, which I'm totally for. As you know, we've talked a lot on it. But I just want to say to you, I'm a chair, as you know, on the International Plowing Match for 27, and you and TSL have taken a big leap on that, and I appreciate all your input onto that. So I hope the plowing match is going to be a great show, and all the work that you've helped too, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff.
Councillor Dennis.
Thank you very much. Hi, Mark. Listen, great work as always. I know the Silver Stick just finished not too long ago, and kudos to the volunteers. They always put on a spectacular event. As you know, I think you'll admit we could never do it without such wonderful volunteers. I know then it just ended, so maybe you don't know the numbers exactly, but we've hosted this event for years and years and years. What kind of economic spin-offs could you expect from a tournament like that? The first week it was the ladies, and this week it was the fellas. What kind of event or economic spin-off does an event like that bring to the community? In your opinion, if you don't have, you don't have the numbers, the straight numbers, but.
Yeah, absolutely. Silver Stick is huge for economic growth, and we see it for the hotels, we see it for the restaurants, and the overnight stays for sure that take place. It's roughly 4.5 to 5 million each year,
wow,
depending on it. So that's across all of the Silver Sticks throughout Lambton County. So. Yeah, we have one more left to go. We have Lambton Shores coming up here shortly, and
awesome, absolutely awesome. I was there on Saturday at Clearwater Arena, and it was the parking lot was jammed, and it took me 10-15 minutes to find a parking spot. I finally got one, and it took me a bit of a walk to get to the front door, but I'm glad I didn't mind the walk. I physically could use the exercise. And as I was walking, I was looking at license plates. They were from all over the United States, like Texas, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Virginia, all over the place. And that just warmed my heart to see that. And, I was just, that was just such a fantastic sight to see all these people drive that length of a way to come to the community. And you just know, you knew before and after the game, they were going to maybe, shop at Lambton Mall, maybe see a movie at Lambton Cinema, go to, we have as you know, in Sarnia or Lambton County, we have a variety of fantastic restaurants, and just the spin-offs. You knew after Christmas time, people think business dies down. Well, that comes at a great time when they could use another lift. But anyways, I do have a second question for you. As you're probably aware, I don't know all the details, of course. I just going by what I've read. Lambton Shores seems like they have formed their own little tourism agency. They've decided to kind of go off by themselves, and I you know what, I don't blame them. I would assume that most of the tourism that comes to Lambton County heads to Grand Bend. They have a lot of hotels there. They have a lot of Airbnbs and bed and breakfast. So they want to kind of do it on their own. And you know what? I can't say that I blame them. So how does that affect your organization, and how does it affect the rest of us that are I guess the next two that have the most hotels and Airbnbs and bed and breakfasts would certainly be Point Edward and Sarnia. So how does that affect the rest of us, and the next natural step, because again, we're all it's a federation, I get it, but we should Point Edward and Sarnia maybe form our own little organization, because if Lambton Shores has done that for themselves, then maybe Sarnia and Point Edward should do the same for ourselves.
Okay, Mark,
what's your thoughts on that?
Mark, please.
Yeah, so happy to answer. So I'll back up first with Silver Stick. So one of the things Silver Stick's just mentioning is our organization, we put together packages for every team that's arriving with programs, with maps, with specialized offers that local businesses has provided, and make sure packages go out to almost 700 teams that visit during the Silver Stick time. But to your second question, so with Lambton Shores, been in touch with Stephen McCauley with the municipal corporation that they're building with them at. Tourism Sarnia-Lambton has offered to sit on there, and once that's formed, we'll be notified if we're part of kind of that board and committee. With that, we see the value of making sure that our strategies and our framework is aligned, as well as working together. Tourism Sarnia-Lambton, quite frankly, our marketing director is an expert, one of the best in all of Ontario, and when it comes to marketing buys, when it comes to media connections, advertising, everything else, we're really the experts in the area on it and on tourism, and we're happy to assist with the funds that Lambton Shores has for further marketing, further promotions, further events. As I understand it, with that structure, basically it's a committee that's just approving the task. So, we can say, hey, we have this idea. What does the committee think? And we hope to work, directly with all or as many decisions as we can with that committee to make sure they're strategically done with what we're doing as well, and all work together at the end of the day.
Sure.
In regards to kind of the agreements we have in place with both Sarnia and Point Edward, the MAP money that is generated by Sarnia is used to only promote Sarnia. So it's not used to promote other things in the county. It's basically used for only Sarnia when we're doing promotion on Sarnia items or underwriting or bidding. Where the Point Edward one actually is wrote different, where it's to benefit the greater extent of the county. So a little more flexibility on the funds that come in with the Village of Point Edward. But as a whole, we look at it we have kind of three separate budgets. We have our operating budget, we have we have the Village of Point Edward, and we have the City of Sarnia, three separate budgets, and then we from there decide what marketing efforts we're doing with kind of each one and how it's implemented across the board.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
I have Councillor Case, Councillor Bradley, and then Councillor Hand, please.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. Just one question to Mark. So when we made the request last year to visit all 11 municipalities, how many did you visit, Mark? Can you give me a number, please?
How many did we visit, go to?
How many councils, that was the request last year, did you visit in 2025?
I only did county council, Mr. Case.
So we were talking about the lower tier, the 11, not counties, so I guess the number is 0 then. That's all I needed to know. Thank you, Mr. Warden.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Bradley, please.
Yeah, thank you for the presentation. When County Council gave a huge increase to TSL a number of years ago, it was based on the development of bricks and mortar with the private sector tourist attractions. Where's that at?
Mayor Bradley, actually, that would be well before my time with Tourism Sarnia-Lambton. There hasn't been an increase, I believe, since I've been with TSL, but that hasn't been the part of our strategic plan, I guess, since I've been involved with the organization. I can look into where that was last at. I'm happy to report back to you.
Well, I'm sort of stunned because that was why the money was given. And I've asked this question over the last few years. That's why we received a significant increase, whether you were there or not. And it seems to me that we need to do more on looking at and it's been done throughout Lambton County in the past. What else could we develop with the private sector that would bring people in for more than 24 hours? I'll leave it with you to go back to your board.
Thank you.
Okay, I have Councillor Hand and then Councillor White.
Sorry, mine's just related to the Silver Stick and the economic benefit to the community. Just a little story. On Friday night, I was going to the opening ceremony and I stopped at Cosmos and there was a whole team of 18-year-olds from Mississauga. The whole back end of the restaurant was this team. So I introduced myself and asked them if they were playing in Point Edward. And the coach said, "You must really appreciate the visit of these hockey teams to your community for the benefit." And I went, "Oh, absolutely." So I'd like to come and watch your team play, but you can see it across all the different places that they were attending. And then they were going to a gym, so they got connected to a local gym that they could attend. So they were out and about.
Okay, thank you. Councillor White.
Thank you, Warden. Thank you, Mr. Perrin, for your presentation. Again, just to sort of go back the last couple of years, I've asked the question regarding proactive outreach to community groups, community organizations, neighborhood groups, lower tier municipalities in regards to things that might be happening at the ground level, volunteer-driven events, things that certainly can work adjacent to some of these larger events. So to Councillor Hand's point of view, it's great when you have an organization like Silver Stick that does so well and brings so much, and you can connect perhaps them with a gym or something functional for them while they're in town, but at the same time finding other avenues to I suppose entertain them, to receive their funds, and to make sure that they're receiving a warm, welcoming experience all around is certainly an advantage. And I think partnering, again, as I reiterated last year from what I suggested the year before, was that being able to identify those local events to perhaps not just promote them to folks that are already bringing into town, but to give them opportunities, to give them guidance, to give them feedback, to provide an avenue for them to ramp up as appropriate, and to create more tourism opportunities at the micro level. So I'm just so I have two questions. That one is, have you begun engaging at that level, and if so, how's that going? And then the second question is in regards to the Ontario Senior Games, because we all received a really thorough presentation earlier this year here at County Council, and I received a phone call and some correspondence and had some in-person conversations with the local organizers. And I think this would be a fantastic opportunity, and I would assume that this is up your alley, and you perhaps are already working with them. I would hope so. But if not, is that something that is on your work plan? Thank you.
Mr. Perrin, please.
Yeah, Councillor White, absolutely. In September, we hosted a sports and event hosting seminar. We had 71 different organizations attend, and we talked about basically event structure, event support, framework around tournaments, on sponsorship, on visitor enhancements, what TSL's role can be as far as packages, as far as marketing, welcoming. So yeah, it went really well. We're still engaged. We have a dedicated staff basically working on the different conventions, on the different events coming in, and it's basically around the clock work. We just yesterday had a call of a wrestling event taking place at Lambton College in May. 400 participants coming in from that. So yeah, we're definitely being fully tapped and utilized on a lot of the different local structure of not just sport, but also the convention side. I would say the convention side, we've partnered really close with 4 Points, and they're recommending us for kind of all the networking and going through on anyone coming to host something in 4 Points in their convention space. So it's very very well received and continues to be very busy. On the Ontario Summer Games, definitely there's actually probably 6 different kind of local initiative events like that we're happy to be involved in, and from hotel, kind of this year was the first trial with Silver Stick. We became more of a third-party kind of booking platform. That was requested by all the Silver Stick directors in better suiting and better managing the hotels, if we could work as kind of a liaison between the directors and the hotels. With that being successful, we've now kind of offered that as we continue to have hotel partnership meetings and be a link between both the event and convention sector as well as the hotel side.
Follow up.
Sure.
Thank you for that answer, and I appreciate that. And yet, again, I do appreciate the effort on some of that work, and but I continue to hear a lot of focus on sports, and then perhaps adjunct the conventions, which is all incredibly important. But in terms of a broader view, I'm thinking of I'll use my own community's examples for Art in the Park, Mitten Village Block Party, things like that are micro organizations doing fairly large events that to some regard are intended to be local, but wondering if there's the capacity to support and elevate and grow those types of events into something that serves as more of an attraction. And I know that Sarnia is not the only place that has these events. These events happen all over Lambton County. And again, we've got great volunteers from one end of the county to the other trying to make stuff happen in their community. And year after year, as volunteerism dwindles, it starts to kind of feed back into the attendance at times. And the concern I have is that this effort, whether it's a new effort or whether it's a long-standing tradition, starts to fade away without additional opportunities. And sometimes when people are used to doing the same thing, they drive the same mechanisms every year and perhaps don't have the bandwidth to see newer opportunities or find ways to supplement or complement what it is that they're doing at the core. And I think that if we have that support and you're able to identify them and again proactively reach out to them, these are busy folks that might not think that you're even an option, to support them and try to see if there's a fit and a way to tie it into some kind of a broader, not only a campaign or visibility focus from your perspective, but also again that support, that mentorship, that creating an opportunity for them to either maintain, sustain, or perhaps even grow. So arts, culture, community level events. Thank you.
Mr. Perrin. Yep. Would you like to respond, Mr. Perrin? No.
Yeah, absolutely. We actually have framework in place on how a local event can kind of become a tourism event. We've partnered with SWATC, the Southwestern Ontario Tourism, on that because that's a very popular question we get all the time, is how kind of you can go from local to tourism and, what is defined basically provincially or through TIO as what a tourism event is versus a local event. So yeah, we have all that framework and definitely it's something we'll continue. Arts and culture is something that we're putting a lot more focus behind for 2026. So it's something we can definitely look at.
Okay, I think in the interest of time, thank you for that, Mr. Perrin. We'll go to our third presentation. And that is Katherine Albion, the Executive Director, Western Sarnia-Lambton Research Park, who will be speaking to County Council regarding mortgage refinancing options for the County of Lambton Community Development Corporation. Welcome, Katherine.
Thank you. Good morning, Ward and Marriott and members of Lambton County Council, and thank you for the opportunity to speak with you this morning to share our mortgage refinancing options with you. We began to implement our recovery plan starting in our fiscal year 2025 when we reached the lowest occupancy related to the pandemic. Since then, we have successfully attracted new companies to the research park, largely into office suites, and we continue to discuss leasing opportunities with new companies. After the pandemic began, companies returned space to us that was equivalent to about 80% of the total space at the park. We continued to lease companies to refill these vacancies, and then in 2024, we had 4 large tenants downsize with 1 relocation at once. We have reoccupied 50% of this space, and we are determined to refill the remaining 30%. Our companies continue to create jobs during difficult economic conditions. One of our new companies to the park last year brought in over $1.5 million. And this is approximately equivalent to the value of the loan and the grant given to us by council last year. And this is just one example of the 15 new companies we have brought in and that are investing new funds in our region to progress their work and grow their companies locally. We are advancing the local knowledge workforce. We offer advanced technical seminars to continue its professional development. We've had the highest attendance in our history at our November Go Wenge Girl event, and registration was full within hours for the Discovery Western Engineering Camp for Youth last summer. The park's research facilities are at 85% occupancy, and we are currently in discussions with companies for new office space leases that would put us well on our way to our fiscal 2027 targets. And we're also at the early stages of exploring the feasibility of an exciting new pilot plant at the park. At our September update to council, evaluation of the research park was requested. The park lands and buildings were valued and appraised at about $18 million. The appraiser noted that property values are low due to current economic conditions and that we are a very large and specialized facility in a small market. So a long time period is expected for any possible sale, where typical buyers of our facility are institutions or government. This chart shows our occupancy growth since May of 2024, when we were in the valley of our real estate cycle. Using 20 months of occupancy data, the model forecasts that we will reach a break-even point in fiscal year 2030, which is calendar year 2029. The Research Park's mortgage is due for renewal, and the refinancing terms will have a large impact on our cash flow and break-even points. We have two scenarios shown here, where in the first scenario, we looked at refinancing the mortgage with a 15-year amortization period with a 2-year term. After a 5-year period, we have paid down $4.5 billion of the loan, but we have required $6 million of additional funding relief. In the second scenario, we have refinanced the mortgage with a 30-year amortization period for a 5-year term. After the 5-year period, we've paid down $1.6 million of the loan, and we've required $3 million of additional funding relief, but we have reached our break-even point. The $3 million ask over 5 years is slightly less than the value of the annual grant that would be over the next 5-year period. However, the majority of the funding is projected to be needed over the next 2 years. The total ask is the total funding required based on the 2 different loan scenarios and does not request a separate annual grant. The $17 million mortgage value assumes that the CLCDC repays the county immediately for the $900,000 grant given to us last year. This slide graphically shows the funding required over a 10-year period based on the model of the previous slide. The gray line shows the 15-year amortization period where the CLCDC is unable to break even in the future due to the value of the loan payments. Over 10 years, additional funding required is projected to be over $8 million. Following the purple line, the CLCDC is forecasted to break even around our fiscal year 2030 with the longer amortization period and without the need for further relief funding. The long-term loan repayment scenario is forecasted to result in surplus revenue from our operations. There are a number of options available to council for the surplus revenue streams, with some ideas proposed here. However, there'll be many opportunities to discuss the options in the future. In September, the CLCDC updated council on the operations of the research park, including the consultant's recommendation of a loan payment holiday. Since then, the park has revisited the options and refined our financial forecasts and we believe that these are the leading options for council's consideration, where the CLCDC's recommendation is option 2. Option 2 requires the minimum amount of additional investment and forecasts that we will break even and generate surpluses within 5 years. The Research Park has a strong record of success, and we continue to fulfill the mandate given to us by Lambton County Council. I would like to thank Council for its continued support of the park as we implement our recovery plan. As we look ahead, we're excited by the exciting new and emerging opportunities that we are seeing and developing that will continue to grow and benefit the communities of Lambton County. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions for Ms. Albion? Councilor Broad.
Thanks, Warden Merritt. I was just wondering for our budget meeting if the CAO and our treasurer could prepare a report. We've given millions of dollars, I think, to this operation over the last number of years. Could we get a report with that information on what has already been forgiven to them?
Mr. Tifo, please.
Yes, thank you. If I understand correctly, you're looking for just a brief summary of the grants and other additional assistance that was provided to the research park over the last number of years? Correct. We can easily do that.
Further questions? Sorry, Councilor Dennis.
I'm sorry. Thank you, Warden Marriott. Could we also have a list of the tenants, please? I just want to see who's in that building and just how relevant they are to what the original goals of that building were.
Mr. Tifo, is that something that you can add?
Thank you for the question. Again, if I understand the question correctly, or the suggested request is for the county to produce the list of tenants from the research park, and unfortunately, the county cannot do so. That would be a request that would have to go to the research park, subject to confidentiality obligations that they would have. So I would guess that that's probably a difficult thing to obtain.
Councilor Case.
So Mr. Warden, through you to our guest, I guess you're going to pay back the grant from last year, and then you're asking us for more money this year. Am I correct on that? Am I reading that right?
Ms. Albion?
Yes, that's correct. We had requested an additional $900,000 of additional funding last year that was given to us as a loan. Through our loan refinancing this year, we will be repaying that $900,000. We are asking for a total of about $1.5 million this year, just under $1.5 million. And of that, requesting the grant of about $650,000 with about $850,000 of additional funding requested.
Okay, follow up, Councilor Case.
Yeah, just to follow up, Mr. Warden. So really it's a money in, money back out situation. Again, I appreciate the fact that you're paying back the grant from last year, but in all honesty, I don't understand the rationale around it other than it was the agreement, because you're asking for even more. So that's just the point I wanted to make, and I just wanted to clarify that. Thank you, Mr. Warden.
Thank you, and Councilor Dennis.
Sorry, my apologies. I got disconnected. That is my own fault. What my motion was I just like a list of the tenants, please. From what I understand, last time Miss Albion spoke, the vacancy rate was I'm sorry, it was running at 70% occupancy, and I believe it's running at the same 70% occupancy rate. They had some people leave, and then they recruited some new people there. I just want to see who's in that building, because again, it seems like it's strayed from its original purpose. I just don't want it to be a typical landlord. Then it's competing with the private sector. It's competing with other local business centers that like the DMI building in Point Edward or other business centers. If they're all startups that are that are incubating and that will eventually branch out and employ hundreds and hundreds, or if maybe thousands of people, like Amazon and Apple started in their garage. Well, that's one thing. But the thing is, if it's travel centers are in there or financial planning offices are in there, that's not that's just grabbing anybody that will fill a space. That's what I'm looking for.
So, Councillor Dennis, you may have been off the call when it dropped, but Ms. Albion said due to confidentiality, they're unable to give a list of the.
It's a taxpayer funded building. There should be no confidentiality when it's a taxpayer funded project. And in all due respect to Ms. Albion, she's coming to us yearly, year after year after year, asking us for millions of dollars. And it's there's no secrets when it comes to taxpayer funded assets.
I'll let Mr. Tifo explain though, Councillor Dennis.
Well,
Again, thank you. Just to reiterate, ultimately, this body does not have custody or control of those records. The records would be sought from Ms. Albion as a representative of the research park, and perhaps Ms. Albion, given that she needs to take instructions from her board, can take that under advisement and come back.
Can't they be presented to us in an in-camera meeting then?
Sorry, is that something that can be done, Ms. Albion?
Yes, I expect we can present this information in camera.
Okay, thank you. Is that okay, Councillor Dennis?
Yes, that'd be fine.
Councillor Bean, please.
Thank you, Warden, members of County Council. I'm just wondering, in this presentation, we're talking about the building could be sold, but prices are down since 2022. I'm just wondering if there's any way we can reach out and see what is the actual land worth is today before our next meeting?
I believe it's in the report.
Yes, the total valuation of both the land and the buildings were appraised at $18 million. We are aware of the price of the land and some of the nearby parcels, so that information is publicly available through different media reports, so that I suspect could be provided to council before the next meeting.
So the 18 million is up to date. That's what the property's worth today.
As of the end of October, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions before we move on? I think maybe it looked like we were at the end of those. So thank you, Ms. Albion, for your presentation today. Moving on to item number 5, Infrastructure and Development Services Corporation Division. Item A is correspondence to receive and file. I'd look for a motion for that. Councillor Broad and Councillor White seconds. All in favor? Opposed, if any? That's carried. Item 5B, information reports. The first one is regarding the City of Sarnia funding request, Planning Department. And the second one is an information report regarding the upcoming 2026 Public Works Conferences. I look for a motion to receive and file unless there's questions. Deputy Warden Agar moves, seconded by Councillor Miller. All in favor? That's carried. Item 5C, reports requiring a motion. The first one is regarding the Lambton County Land Stewardship Pilot Program. Look for a motion for the recommendation on that. Councillor Cook, Councillor Ferguson, seconds. All in favor? That's carried. The second report is regarding an update appointment bylaw for building inspectors. Councillor Bean moves, Councillor Case seconds. All in favor? Opposed, if any? That's carried. Is there any other business for Infrastructure and Development Services Division this morning? Seeing none, moving to item number 6, For public health services, there is no reports unless there's other business. Seeing none, item number 7, Cultural Services Division. We have 2 correspondents to receive and file. Councillor Miller and Councillor Bean, seconds, all in favor. That's carried. And B, reports requiring a motion. Do these separately. The first one is a potential consolidation of Port Lambton and Sombre libraries. Look for a motion for the recommendation on that. Councillor White, seconded by Councillor Atkinson. All in favor? That's carried. 7B, report regarding museums, gallery, and archives collections management from October to November of 2025. Look for a motion for the recommendation on that. Councillor Cook, second by Councillor Loosely. All in favor? Opposed, if any? That's carried. And 7BC, report regarding Watford Library Redevelopment Program plan. Look for a motion on the recommendation there. Councillor Case, seconded by Councillor Sageman. All in favor? That's carried. Any other business for cultural services this morning? Seeing none. Number 8, long-term care division. We have 1 information report here to receive and file. Councillor Hand and Councillor White. All in favor? That'd be carried. Any other business for long-term care this morning? Seeing none. Item number 9, corporate services. We have 1 correspondence to receive and file. Moved by Councillor Sageman, second by Councillor White. All in favor? That's carried. And reports requiring a motion. We have 1 on the regarding the 2026 services and fees schedule. Look for a motion for the recommendation. Councillor Bean, Councillor Atkinson, seconds, all in favor. That's carried. Any other business for corporate services this morning? Moving on to number 10, 10A, finance, facilities, and acquisitions. 10A, reports requiring a motion. We have a report regarding the annual year-end report on reserves and reserve funds. Look for a motion for the Councillor Case and Councillor Ferguson. All in favor? That's carried. Any other business for finance, facilities, and acquisitions? Seeing none. 11, social services division. Item A, information reports. We have the first one is, there's 2 of them. One is regarding affordable housing updating, the other regarding housing and homelessness plan and housing needs. Look for a motion to receive and file these. Deputy Warden Agar and Councillor Broad. All in favor? That's carried. Any other business for social services? Seeing none, I would ask that we take a short break before we have coffee and donuts, refreshments in Committee Room 3, and we will get the presentation of the budget binders after that. Welcome back. Item number 12, presentation of the 2026 County of Lambton draft budget. I'd like to turn it over to Stefan Tifo, Mr. Tifo, and Ms. Bettridge. County Treasurer, please.
Thank you, Warden. Welcome to our guests here from members of the public that are here in our gallery, and of course following us online. Welcome as well to media here today and following us online. And of course, welcome back members of County Council, members of the committee. My name is Stefan Tifo, and with Karen Bettridge, we are here to present to you the 2026 County Council draft budget. And that presentation will proceed as follows. I will have a brief overview of our county operations. Secondly, we will reflect briefly on our county strategic direction. Thirdly, we will have a brief review of our 2025 county budget and achievements that were held in 2025, which provide context and background to the 2026 budget. And of course, we will talk about the 2026 budget, and in discussing the 2026 budget, we will address one, the gross operating budget, the operating budget, the capital budget. We will also talk about how that budget is funded. We will speak then to our reserve accounts, our debt account, and of course, the factors that influence the budget itself. So in terms of operations overview, as you know, county provides a myriad of comprehensive services and programs to the community, and those services and programs can be categorized in 4 groups. The first group being housing and social services, where of course under that group we provide housing services, where we own 836 units, which will grow to roughly 910 units by the end of the year. We provide homeless prevention and response services, Ontario Works in terms of income support services, and children's services as well. Under the second group, health and wellness services, of course, we operate 3 long-term care homes in the county with a total of 341 beds. We provide public health services, of course, through Lambton Public Health, and of course provide 24/7 paramedic service and coverage through our emergency medical services department. Third group are cultural and recreational services. We operate 25 libraries, 3 museums, and 1 gallery. And lastly, in terms of our public assets, government and business services, we have our public works group that take care of well over 640 kilometers of road, 190 bridges or so and culverts. We have our planning services, building services, and of course we operate the county court, provincial offenses court system. We've achieved how we provide those services and programs is dictated by our strategic plan, and our strategic plan is clear. It mandates that we provide efficient, responsive, and sustainable services and programs to enhance the quality of life of our community. In 2025, you'll recall at budget time last year, you approved a budget of $322.3 million that was funded in part by the local levy of $101.7 million. You approved a year-over-year levy increase of 4.2% plus another 1.2% for matters that had been referred to the budget, and that included additional contributions to the Affordable Housing Reserve and implementation of our EMS master plan and the personnel elements of that master plan. There were many successes and achievements in 2025. Of note, our Ontario Works Department assisted over 3,800 clients throughout the year. Our Lambton Works individuals, employees through our Ontario Works Department onboarded 750 clients for its Lambton Works employment services, which serve to assist those individuals reintegrate the workforce, and that group had over 3,500 engagements for those purposes. Our EMS department responded to over 28,000 calls for services. Our Lambton Public Health individuals, regulated health professionals responded and provided or had over 7,000 patient encounters through the many clinics and outreach programs that it has. Our library services circulated over 1.1 million materials, and over 21,000 visitors went through our museums and galleries. 24 kilometers of roads were reconstructed, and our planning building services departments engaged in over 14,000 building, plumbing, and bylaw inspections in 2025. So again, we provide a myriad of comprehensive services and programs. In addition to that, in 2025, of course, through your leadership, you made decisions to further your priorities and the county strategic plan. Of note, you authorized investment in our Kathleen Avenue development, which will see this year 50 additional affordable housing units coming online in the city of Sarnia. You also authorize the expenditures for the acquisition of lands for affordable supportive housing and the acquisition of lands to ready those lands for project-ready initiatives, and of course, to be ready for upper-level financing options for affordable supportive housing projects. And then, of course, you authorize the investment in the small house project in Petrolia and Enniskillen that will see leading-edge 12 specialized dementia care beds added to that long-term care facility. And of course, you authorize the development of the additional Petrolia child care expansion, which will see an additional 73 spots for infants aged 0 to 4 years of age. That gets us into the 2026 budget. Again, provided that information for context, because that context, those are the decisions that were made in the past in 2025 influence, of course, the 2026 budget. In terms of the 2026 budget, we are seeking a total budget, gross budget of $320.9 million, $272.5 million of that gross budget for operating, $48.4 million of that budget for capital. Comparing it year over year, 2025 to 2026, what you will see in the materials that are before you in that binder is the following. In 2025, you had a total gross budget of $322.3 million, which I noted earlier. Of course, we're seeking in 2026 a gross budget of $320.9 million for a reduction of roughly $1.3 million. I will pause to manage expectations because there is still going to be a levy impact, which you will see in a few slides. However, I do want to explain sort of that reduction in terms of the gross budget. That reduction, as you see on this chart, on this graph, is reflected on the capital budget. Last year's capital budget, we had $59.6 million, whereas we're looking at $48.3 million for a reduction of about $11 million. That difference is last year in 2025, you had approved roughly $11 million for the EMS headquarters. Other than for that, the capital budget remains fairly static. The $11 million for EMS headquarters, last year you authorized that to be funded in part through reserves and levy, which did not have an immediate impact on last year's levy requests. Operating expenses go up roughly $9 million year over year. In terms of the expenditure of our budget throughout the organization, this graph stipulates the following. Our budget is consumed chiefly by 4 divisions in this following order. First, our social services division, which of course has Ontario Works, the income support program, with a budget of roughly $41 million. The homelessness prevention and response program with a budget of roughly $9 million. The children's services budget of roughly $47 million, and our housing department's budget of a little over $15 million plus a capital. Followed then by our long-term care division, which operates 3 long-term care homes, 341 beds, plus additional day services for a budget of roughly $56 million. Our third biggest consumer of our budget is our public health services division, comprised of our EMS department, our paramedics, 24/7 services, which is a budget of roughly $25 million, followed by our public health, Lambton Public Health, at a budget of $13 million. Lastly, our infrastructure and development budget at $36 million. That is the 4 groups in that order that are the biggest consumers of the gross county budget. The next slide The next slide speaks to consumption of the budget from an operating perspective, and it's the same order. Nothing really changes. Where you will see a change is with respect to the capital expenditures. As I noted earlier, this budget seeks a capital budget of $48.4 million. The consumer of that capital budget and changes, the order of the consumers changes, with public health, infrastructure and development being the main consumer at roughly $15 million. With respect to its roads and bridges, the budget contemplates roughly 32 kilometers of reconstructions on roads, followed by our social services and the capital there, mostly housing, repairs, maintenance, and investments, and then followed by our long-term care at just over $2 million, which is essentially facilities repairs and maintenance, followed by public health services, again, facilities repairs and maintenance, and acquisition of vehicles related thereto. I do want to highlight that out of the $48.4 million capital budget, $27 million are for what I've just explained, which explains sort of the numbers that you're seeing there. Another close to $22 million is on non-tangible capital assets, contribution towards reserves. All right, let's talk about the net budget. How is our budget ultimately funded? What sources of funds build and will fund our $321 million budget? First and foremost, our grants and subsidies from upper level governments. For instance, the county is a service manager for Ontario Works, Children's Services. We get funding from the province for public health, of course, funding for EMS. That is our biggest sources of funds at $156 million. That is followed by, of course, the local taxation, the local levy at $106 million, roughly, followed then by our fees and services at roughly $23 million. And from the fees and services perspective, we are talking about accommodation fees that the LTC will charge to its residents. We are talking about rental revenues that housing would generate. We are talking about fees and services that building planning services generates. We are talking about the fines that the POA court generates. Ranked fourth is, of course, utilization of reserves at roughly $21.9 million. Which is effectively what I would call sort of the norm and the average in terms of utilization of reserves to fund your budget. And lastly, long-term financing at roughly $3.6 million, as you will see in your package. Most of that long-term financing goes towards roads and reconstruction of roads, given the nature of those assets. So that gets us into our request. You'll see that the budget relies on the local levy at 33%, and 67% of the budget is otherwise funded, i.e. non-levy funded. Year over year on the levy requirement, last year you'll see that in 2025, the levy was $101.7 million. This year's budget sees a levy of $106 million for an increase of 4.1%. Now that's not the increase that we're looking at. The levy and the taxation on the annual tax impact, taken into account assessment and growth of 0.62%, we see a levy taxation impact of 3.48% year over year, for an impact on your homeowners, on your residents of $18.23 per $100,000 of assessed value. When I opened up and I introduced how we would proceed today, I did mention that I would highlight the factors that influence our 2026 budget. So what is really built into the budget that leads to the levy increase of roughly $4 million per year with a net tax increase of 3.48%. This is where we're at. There are four main factors. The first one is sustaining core services and programs. As I mentioned earlier, your strategic plan talks about sustainability. Secondly, we talk about strategic directions and council priorities, where what we talk about here is operationalize, putting into effect the decisions that you made last year, being responsive to the service requirements of the community. And again, your strat plan talks about responsiveness. Thirdly, commitment to sustainable asset management. And then, of course, our third-party funding commitments. In terms of sustaining core services and programs, of course, year over year, there will be COLA inflationary pressures. That's built into your budget. We also have pressures when it comes to information technology, information systems requirements. We are a complex organization that relies heavily on information technology hardware, information services software. There's additional requirements in the budget for that. And the budget also incorporates roughly $400,000 in increases in court security costs year over year. Second element, in terms of operationalizing your decisions, this budget incorporates the decisions that you've made in accordance with your priorities. First, the Kathleen Avenue development, which I mentioned earlier, was a decision made in 2025. By the year end of this year, those 50 units will be online. The small house project, of course, the same thing. That new service, that additional service, that specialized service is built into your budget for this year, and same with the Petrolia childcare expansion. Strategic directions, decisions that you've made, the budget also incorporates roughly $7 million towards affordable housing in two tranches. The first tranche is your Affordable Housing Sustainability Reserve, which is meant to be utilized to maintain and repair your current housing stock, therefore enabling that housing stock to remain available. And then secondly, an additional contribution to your affordable housing reserve. But I do note that year over year, that reserve contribution is about $1 million less than last year. The third factor that's built into your budget is commitment to sustainable asset management. You'll recall a report that you received back in November of 2025 from Mr. Dave Ram that noted that we had a funding gap in our asset management of roughly $25 million and a 10-year program, 10-year plan to recover, to reduce that gap was in that report, which called for an injection of an additional $622,000 in a new reserve, our life cycle renewal reserve. This budget incorporates that additional injection. And lastly, the fourth element are third-party funding commitments. And our third-party funding commitments are as follows. The Sarnia-Lambton Economic Partnership, who you've heard from today, their grant of $1.58 million. Secondly, Tourism Sarnia-Lambton, their grant at $827 million. Thirdly, the Research Park's base grant of $653,000 is in your budget. The additional requirement in excess of about $800,000, close to $900,000, is in items referred to budget, and we'll speak to that in a moment. And then lastly, your commitment to the Strathroy Middlesex General Hospital of $100,000. You're in year 9. Next year is the last year on that commitment. As I mentioned, we wish to address briefly our reserves and debt holdings. In terms of our reserves, this chart will show that projected by the end of the year 2026, our reserve accounts, unrestricted reserve account, ought to be at 68.6. So that's the number at the bottom, at the far right, $68.6 million, which is an improvement of the forecasted 2025 figure, which was $63.6 million. The delta between those two figures would be achieved mostly through this year for the reasons that were in the report in your package today from Lori Titus, our Deputy Treasurer, mainly unanticipated significant WSIB rebates, lower utilization of reserves for operations, and same for the housing. So ultimately, we're going in the right direction, meaning that unrestricted reserves are going up, they're inching up, but fundamentally, reserve accounts are still low for an operation, for an organization with a $320 million budget. That doesn't just come from us, from management, but also comes from peer review, and that peer review is conducted by the Province of Ontario, and the Province of Ontario's report looking at us, and our peers will note that our reserves are low. But that being said, we are inching forward in addressing that. This chart, this graph simply indicates what the reserve utilization is, and as I noted earlier in the presentations in the slide where we talked about how this current budget is funded. It's funded in part by reserves, $21.9 million. But that's a reduction over last year. But that reduction over last year is simply because of the capital projects that were approved last year, and therefore reserves were approved to fund in part those capital projects, not necessarily being on the books this year. So for instance, you would have had the Lambton Shared Services Center acquisition funded in part by reserves last year. You would have had the Kathleen Avenue project funded in part by reserves, and of course the Maxwell Park Place and the small house. Debt financing, this chart shows you where our outstanding debt is, where it's going, what the charges, operating expenses on that debt is, where it's going. And effectively, it could be summarized as follows. Our current issued debt is 16.4 million. This budget authorizes 3.9 million, as I noted earlier, chiefly for road projects, resulting in issued debt of 20 million. But in the past, due to these projects that you've authorized, and by that I mean the affordable housing projects, the Maxwell Park Place, Kathleen Avenue, the EMS headquarters, the Petrolia childcare, the small house, the debt load is trending up to, and it should reach roughly 50 million once it's issued. You've authorized it, it's not issued, but it's going to be used and it's going to hit the books by 2027. And that's what this graph and this chart is meant to reveal. And once the debt load increases, so do the annual operating charges for principal and interest on that debt load, and it's reflected here on this chart. All right, so that concludes the substantive part of the 2026 draft budget presentation. We believe, your team believes, that the budget aligns well with your decisions, your priorities, your strategic plan, and at the same time balances in a prudent fashion the utilization of debt, reserves, and taxation to deliver the services and programs in a sustainable, responsive manner to your community. Our focus for 2026 is to continue to prudently manage our sources of funding, our expenses, while keeping an eye on the accumulation of debt. Our prudent approach has been recognized by S&P Global. It is the reason why you maintain a AA+ credit rating. The one piece that I mentioned earlier on reserves and lower reserves have been commented upon in that report, but nonetheless, we do retain a fairly good credit outlook. In terms of the budget development process, this is an all-hands-on-deck process. I just get the privilege of presenting it to you this morning, but the process started back in August with all of our supervisors, managers in each one of their departments looking at their budgets and their needs for 2026, and then, of course, working quite closely with their financial coordinators, our finance department, the treasurer, the deputy treasurer, and then all of our general managers. And then from there, we take a look at it on a division-by-division basis and then on a corporate basis to ensure that the expenses that we're looking at are consistent with, again, your directions, your priorities, and your strategic plan. That sees us with the presentation today, and then, of course, that sees you come February 4th making decisions and debating your budget. I wish to recognize those who've contributed to this budget. As I mentioned a few seconds ago, it's an all hands on deck. So again, I'd like to recognize the department supervisors and managers, finance coordinators, our deputy treasurer and treasurer, our general managers for their significant work over the last couple months on the development of this budget. Of course, you have your former general manager of finance, who I'm sure is listening intently online to this presentation as well. Lastly, items referred to budget. You will on February 4th, and you've heard from Ms. Albion from the Research Park, you have two items referred to budget. The first item is the City of Sarnia request for additional planning resources. The original request was seeking roughly an expense of $335,000. In your package at tab 2 and through Ms. Corinne-Nada's report, they've offered up alternatives, but nonetheless, that is an item that's referred to budget for February 4th. And of course, the second item is the Research Park, the CLCDC, where there's two options. Option number one, which is a 17-year mortgage amortized over 30 years, with an additional ask of $845,000 in assistance in 2026, or option number two, which is a 15-year mortgage with an additional ask of $1.4 million in 2026. You've been provided a significant amount of information, and you have a pretty thick binder in front of you that provides you all the details on everything that I've gone through this morning. But in the meantime, between now and February 4th, before you get into the debate, should you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. That concludes my presentation on the draft 2026 budget. I thank you for your time and attention. And again, I thank everybody in the organization that contributed to this budget.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tifo, for that very precise presentation. First question is Councillor Case and then Councillor Loosely.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Warden, and thank you, Stefan, for that presentation. And not to prolong this, I know we're going to get into the debate around the budget later on, but I'm going to ask the question. It's usually provided to us. What does 1% represent in dollars? Do we have that number available?
Mr. Tifo, please, or sorry, Ms. Betteridge.
Thank you, Warden Marriott. So 1% increase on the levy is 1.017 thousand. Sorry, 1.017. Yeah, that's right.
Thank you. Councillor Loosely, please.
Yeah, thank you, Warden Marriott. I just want to, first of all, thank you, Stefan, as well. I thought that was great. And I know I mentioned this before, Mr. Warden, but I really want to thank all the staff through Mr. Tifo for preparing this budget in the middle of January, earlier than waiting until February. So thank you for getting that out as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Ferguson.
Thank you, Warden. I do appreciate the clarity on the Sarnia planning request for the department. My question is, in 2027, it'll be full amount in there. If they have attrition, retirements, etc., can we ask them to, if they have money left over, to put it in a special reserve to stay within that department and not into the general Sarnia reserves?
Mr. Tifo, please.
Are we good? Okay. A good question. I'll defer to Ms. Nada, who has those discussions, ongoing discussions and dialogue with the City of Sarnia, and perhaps a question to be addressed on February 4th, if you don't mind. Thank you.
Ms. Nada, please. Oh, okay, sorry. False alarm. Any other questions? And I would also like to add my thanks. I know staff has been very busy to make this extra early month deadline, and hopefully some of the stress is off and you can sleep better tonight. If there's no other questions on this, we will, I forgot to say, the counselors that aren't here in person, they will be delivered, the binders, the budget binders will be delivered to your residence. So that moves us into item number 14, in camera. I'd look for a motion to go in camera, please. Councillor Loosely and Councillor Sageman, all in favor? That's carried. We'll meet in committee room 3. Okay, all we need is a motion to adjourn. Councillor Bean and Councillor Case, all in favor? That's carried. Thank you.